Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the S4R webinar. My name is Suzanne, and I will be the presenter and the host of today's webinar. And other participants of the webinar will be Nicoletta and Begonia. First things first, let me tell something about the agenda of today. As I said, my name is Suzanne. I'm from the World Duchenne Organization. And the World Duchenne Organization is actually a collective of global patient organizations who use the power of the community for better treatment and standards of care for Duchenne boys and men. And one of the initiatives that we do so is by participating in the S4R project. And the project of S4R, Begonia will tell more about that in a minute. And afterwards, Nicoletta will tell you everything about fundraising for nonprofits. And because we all know that winter is season of giving, and not just of giving gifts, but also for donations. And patient organizations and other organizations can really benefit from this time if they have a really good presentation or an event or a fundraiser. So Nicoletta will tell more about that. And then afterwards we'll have some time for questions and answers. So if you have any question, as you can see on next slide, probably on the right side, you can see the chat box in your right corner. And if you have any questions, you can just ask them there. And sure they're available for everybody, and I can just pick out a few questions and we'll ask it later on. So more on following along. As you can see, the webinar will be recorded. So even for the people who won't be attending it, they will see it later on. It will be put on our YouTube channel and you will receive the link. As you can see too in the bottom right corner, you have some tips. So during the webinar, we will just give some tips. So keep on the lookout for them. They're always on the bottom right corner. And if you follow the discussion during the webinar, you can always use on Twitter the hashtag S4R webinar. And if you have any questions considering S4R, you can always contact us on info@s4r.org. Now that we all have that settled, I'd like to give the presentation to Begonia, who will tell you something about the S4R project.
Thank you, Suzanne, for the introduction of the webinar. My name is Begonia Nafri. I'm working as a patient engagement and research coordinator at St. Joan de Déu Children's Hospital. We are one of the largest pediatric hospitals in Europe, and basically the patients that we have in our institution are suffering rare conditions. It means that from the point of view of research and also to improve the healthcare services, it's a priority to us to work in the field of the rare diseases. Considering this, we applied for a grant to the European Commission, and we were successful because this project was approved for the European Commission and in a specific call regarding the design of the collective awareness platform for social innovation. What means this kind of projects? As you can see in the slide, this is the website of the project. You can access and check all the information, but basically this kind of projects means that there is a powerful science that come from the patients, from the families, and sometimes from the general society that we need to put in one place in order that the people that it's behind taking care, in this case of the patients, can improve the work that are doing with them. In this case, from the point of view of clinical research, but at the end, our aim is to improve the quality of life of the patients. It means that we are working to provide research in a translational way. The platform and the project is coordinated by 8 different partners. One is the World Duchenne Organization, as Suzanne mentioned. We have another patient organization in the consortium that it's Melanoma Patients Network Europe. Basically, we have these 2 patient organizations in this project to represent the patients of the neuromuscular disorders and also of pediatric rare tumors, because these are the two big pilot groups of conditions in what we are going to test this platform that it's focused to increase the scientific knowledge in these conditions through the expertise that the patients and the family have. Here you can see the main goals of the project. The first one is to educate, because if some of you that are involved in this webinar are connected with the field of rare diseases, usually the first thing that you do is go to the internet, go to Google, and try to find information regarding your condition. It means that perhaps you can find very important and useful information, but not always you find the information that you need to trust and believe. Say this, we consider that it's crucial and very important to educate and bring information to the patients and the families that can be useful and interesting. In this case, we decided to provide medical information in first term about these two big groups of conditions that I mentioned, rare tumors and neuromuscular disorders, but also for us it's crucial and important to educate all the patients, all the families about rare diseases regarding the advocacy, because you know, patients, families move mountains, and most of the projects, most of the research initiatives about the most ultra-rare diseases are managed and moved by the contribution of the families. The second objective is to share, because when you have the diagnosis, you need to share and to be in touch with other patients and with other families. In the case that also you contribute in a very, very ultra-rare disease, it's very difficult and complex to find a peer very close to you. And you know, the people also goes to the digital world to try to find people like you. In this case, we are going to provide a power tool addressed to all the conditions, not only about these two groups of diseases that I mentioned, where you can be in touch with people, make questions, and the system are going to target these questions, your requests, to the right people that can be involved in the platform. And the last objective and the heart and the core of the platform is research. And we are going to do research basically with the clinical data donation from the patients and from the families. You have a huge amount of information that sometimes we never consider in the hospitals, in the research centers. We are going to provide to you several questionnaires with the aim to collect this information, and one of the partners of this project, that is Universitat Politécnica de Catalunya, UPC, are going to analyze from the point of view of the statistic tools in order to describe and improve the scientific knowledge that we have about these diseases. Because basically the statistics say that only 10% of the rare diseases have a very strong scientific knowledge. It means that we need to know, identify, and sometimes improve, for example, the natural history of the disease and other features that are relevant to move forward and to start other research projects, like the research in the field of new therapies, that at the end is the most important concerns of the families, because still we are at this moment with a huge need to have specific treatments for our patients. If we move to the next slide, here you can see the complex rare disease ecosystem where we are working, and the aim of this platform is to provide tools to connect these dots, because clinicians also can contribute to the platform if the families are happy to invite them also to donate medical information that only they have, but also we can connect with other entities, other stakeholders that can be can have an important role in this project, like the patient organizations, because this is the best opportunity to reach patients that can be interested to join to the platform. If we move to the next slide, you can see here the conditions that we are going to study in the platform about the neuromuscular diseases. And in the next slide, you can see also these conditions. If you are a patient or a relative of these diseases, you can join to the layer that we said that it's going to offer to you a research initiative. For the other cases, also we are going to provide tools to recruit patients and to describe in a general way what are the symptoms of these patients in order to ensure that beyond this project, these 3 years of grant of the European Commission, we can help and start new initiatives in other conditions, because the aim of this project is to continue and offering tools to other patients and families beyond these 2 groups of conditions. If we move to the next slide, you can see here what is the working plan of the project. The project is going to end in 2029. The patients are the heart of the project, as I said, and we performed 3 different co-design workshops. The design that we are this moment finalizing about the IT development has considered all these outcomes that we have achieved through these activities. We are going to perform 2 hackathons in order to improve the different services of the platform along the project. We are going to open the platform in February. You know that this is a very important time for the Rare Diseases Awareness, because we celebrate always the last day of the month, the Rare Disease Day. And for us, it's crucial to open this initiative in this time, because the people it's sharing this information, and it's very connected with the interests and the needs of our collective. And the time to contribute specifically with the research in the group of rare tumors and neuromuscular diseases are going to last from February of the next year until the end of the year. If we move to the next slide, here you can see what is our challenge, because as I mentioned at the very beginning, we have a crucial need to improve research. We know that patients of rare conditions are spread in different countries, in different continents. They use different languages, and we know that it's feasible in platforms like Share4Rare use the digital wall to connect all these dots that are around the wall. The idea is to achieve as much patients or families interested to contribute in the projects, in the platform, in order to improve the medical knowledge that we can have. But as I said, once you have a very well scientific and medical knowledge of the disease, is the time to move forward. And basically, one of the most important objectives of the platform, beyond the quality of life of the patients that we can improve through this medical knowledge that impacts very close to the healthcare services that we can provide to these patients, the most important challenge and objective is to try to promote new projects in the field of therapeutical opportunities. This is our dream, if I can use this word, because it's so challenging, but this is the goal that we expect to achieve together with all the patients and all the families that are going to contribute as our researchers in this platform, in order to break the isolation, break the limitation of resources, and break the limitation of knowledge that we have at this moment. You can access to additional information about our project if you visit our website. Also, you are going to receive an email at the end of this webinar in a few days with the recording of all this information. And also, we are going to be happy to answer all the questions and comments that you can have about the project. Now, for me, it's a pleasure to introduce Nicoletta Madia. She is an expert in fundraising for non-profit organizations, and she is a colleague of the World Duchenne Organization. I mentioned in my explanation that patients move mountains, and one of the activities that patients and patients organizations are doing at this moment, it's connected with research and basically with the collection of funds to make feasible this research. For us, it's very important to educate you about what are the most important tools to perform these fundraising campaigns, because sometimes it's the first opportunity that we can have to perform research project, thanks to the donations about families and other people interested to break this vicious circle that are in the field of the rare diseases, because small numbers sometimes means that we don't have resources to perform research initiatives. Thank you very much, and now it's the turn of Nicoleta to share with us her expertise.
Hello, everyone. So thank you, Begonia, and thank you, Suzanne, for your introduction, and thank you for this opportunity. It's a pleasure for me to be here, to be connected with different people, and I will try during this time together to talk a little bit about fundraising, because as I said, fundraising is very important for a non-profit organization, because the funds will allow us to support our projects and our mission. So I would like to go into details with you about what we are going to do during this webinar. So the webinar is designed to help you navigate your way as you are planning your fundraising plan, because the fundraising plan is very important before defining what to do inside your organization. It is a document that organizes all of your fundraising activities over a certain period of time. Usually we can consider 1 year. So it's really, really helpful to consider 1 year in your fundraising plan. And this plan has to include the activities that you can develop with your community. So next slide. Your plan is your mission. So you have to base your fundraising plan on how all the donations are helping put your mission into action. So you really need to develop your plan based on your mission, on what you want to do, what you want to realize during the year, and what you want to realize in the future. So today and the future are your really basic important points to build your fundraising plan. And during this webinar, we will focus on develop fundraising campaigns, on organize fundraising events, and develop projects. Through these activities, you will involve individual donors. So they are all helpful in order to involve other people to support your organization. So next slide. Talking about campaigns. So when you are planning a campaign for your non-profit organization, there are two important things that you have to take care of. So you need to plan your communication and mobilize your community. Even if you have a small group of people involved in your community, this is not a problem, because even one person can make the difference. So don't think about how many people are there. Just think about giving value to every action. So this is very important. For a fundraising campaign to be successful, people need to know about it and need to be involved. So information and involvement are really two important points. So next slide. Think about a to-do list. So select the project that will be supported by the campaign. So you are raising funds for what? So you really need to think about the project that is connected to your fundraising campaign. So work on a clear and specific call to action. So you really need a specific message that is connected to your project, that is part of your campaign, and you need to be able to share this with the community. So really clear and specific. And communicate with your community using an internal communication tools. So you can create, everyone can create a closed Facebook groups with your community, or just create a mailing list so you can send all the information, because as we said, information and involvement are very important with your community. And communicate with your community during face-to-face meetings, because it's always helpful to use something like Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever kind of electronic tools or online instruments, but it's very important to speak face to face with people too. So inform them, involve them. So this is very important. Next slide. Use all your communication channels to involve the civil society. So first, organize your communication campaign, fundraising campaign within your organization, within your community, and then you're ready to use all your communication channels to involve the other people that are outside, so the civil society. Create a donation page that is branded to the campaign with your specific campaign logo and call to action. So everything is very clear and simple. Create a video, because the videos are very useful to tell your story to the rest of the world, and this can be also shared on social media, on other websites, or even in the TV. So they are really, really helpful and useful to for your campaign and to your communication. And create specific materials to be shared. So leaflet that you can share, something that you can share online or on a face-to-face. So if you are outside during an event, you can have something that you can donate to the other people explaining your campaign and your mission, or you can create something that can be shared online about you and your campaign. So think about specific and clear and simple materials. So next slide. Share your campaign using different media, national and local. So when I speak about local and national, is because in many countries you have the local TV or radio from a specific city or region or place, and you have the national one. So please involve everyone. The local are very, very useful and important because they are targeted to a small community, but they are very useful because they are really specific and can really help you in your communication campaign. And the national one, of course, they are for everyone, not for a specific community, so they are really, really useful. Use newspaper, contact TV, contact radio with a specific audio about your campaign, so you can record your call to action and share this on radio too. And involve institution. Normally, within our World Duchenne organization, we organize the World Duchenne Awareness Day. That is an important day to raise awareness on this disease. And normally we contact the European Parliament for this kind of event because it's an international event. And we got the patronage from the European Parliament, and we also had Pope Francis supporting our important day. So they are really, really important supporters. So involving institutions or famous people that can join and share your campaign is really, really useful, because this helps you in reaching other people to and it's important to share your call to action. Next slide. So an important thing is that you have really to set up a matching period. So having a donation matching period is a great way to have interest in the middle of your campaign, because there is always a moment when donation tend to slow down, so you can start launching your campaign. So the attention is very high because hopefully you are having also the TV or the newspaper launching your campaign. Then there is, another moment that is with a less attention. So you really need to think about different action in order to have every time a good attention on your campaign. So the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of your campaign, because when you are finishing your campaign, it's also another important moment when you are going to call to action everyone, saying, okay, so our campaign is going to finish, so please support us, help us, we are here, and share our campaign. And at the end of your campaign, celebrate your success. It will be always a success, because you have to, if you give a structure to your campaign, I'm sure that everything will be fine. And even if something will go not so good, or will be wrong, you will use that experience for the future. So it's everything that we live is very important for us to improve our action. So use everything that you are living during your campaign, because it's a great experience, and update your community about the results when everything is over, because it's always important to inform every time your community and the rest of the world that is involved in supporting your campaign. So next slide. Okay, so now we can talk about another important aspect of fundraising, that is the event. So events are very popular. It's a very popular form of fundraising, and the success of event depends a lot on a careful planning. So planning is always important for campaigns, for a small or a big event, but especially for the events, they are really, the planning is really important. So let's think about the plan, the budget. Every fundraising event plan should contain a complete budget listing all the expenses that will be required to hold the event. And your budget should take into account your fundraising goals. So you really to cover the expenses if you have expenses to organize your event and to reach your goal. Normally, you can have many services for free. So if you involve a company, or if you are going to organize a show in a theater, you can ask for a free space or whatever, in order to to avoid costs and to have more money for your project and your fundraising. The audience, you really need to think about who is the target for your event. So are we talking about the general public or a specific group? So is this a small event for a specific group, or is this an event for everyone? So this is another important thing, because depending on the target, you can build your perfect event. So setup. So your staff should plan the event setup well in advance. And this is another important point, because you really need to think about all the things that you need for your event, and you also have to think about what could happen. So trying to have a solution in advance before the problem appears. So this is a really good suggestion, in order to have always two ways that you can follow. And communication again, even for the events, is very important. So your event needs to be communicated, otherwise nobody will be there. So draw up an entire communication plan for the event. Use your no-profits fundraising network, invitation, direct mail, word of mouth. So involve your community in this way again, and involve your local or nationally, if it is a great event, TV, radio, journalists. So involve your journalists to participate, to be there during your event, because it's a good way to involve them, to let them speak about you, living an experience. So set up an online communication using your website and social media, because online is always useful, and social media are really helpful when you organize an event. Everyone maybe knows that also on Facebook you can create your event, and you can share it and see how many people can be there, and so you can organize in advance everything. So the team is essential because everyone who is working the event has to know ahead of time what their responsibilities are, where they should be during the event, what they have to do. So it's very important to motivate your team, because in this way the event will be, of course, a success, but will also be a great life experience, because it's a community moment. So it's very important to motivate and involve your team. And again, thank you information is really important at the end of your event. So make sure that the organization takes the time to send thank you notes to everyone who is involved in your event. So give the results, share information also at the end of the event, and you will have also many other people involved in your organization after an event. So now we will talk about another point that is important for the project. So this is mainly the only case where individual donors are less involved, because for the national or local campaigns and for the events is also great to and really easy to involve individual donors, because even if one person doesn't know you, if someone can participate at your event, at the end they can become, for example, a donor. For the project is something different, but they are really important, because they help in organizing and realizing new project with your organization, with your within your community. And you can submit a project to a foundation, to a company, or other realities of your community, your city, your country. So a project proposal is unique to each project, but normally the format is basically the same. So we will go through these formats to see what are the important topics that you have to put on your project in order to be approved. So the format. You always have to explain the problem you are trying to solve. So if you are writing down a project, if you are thinking about a project, there is something that you want to achieve, or a problem that you want to solve. So, for example, when we speak about patient organization, we normally want to do something for our boys, girls, so for our community. So there is a problem that is the disease, and we want to work on this. So this is the problem that we want to solve. It depends on us if we want to work in terms of research, clinics, or if we want to work on a social aspect. So report how the project aligns with your organization goals. So this is what we are saying, and your project must be part of your mission and of your goals, of course. Let's think about the benefits. So what the benefits are, and who are the people that will benefit of your project, who is the target. So we are talking to families, to children with a specific disease, but don't forget that when we are setting up a project, this is directed to specific people, but will involve other people too. So if we are doing a project for children affected by Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and for their inclusion at school, so our target will be not only the children and the families, but, for example, teachers and the other people involved at school and other people of the community. So let's think about the community, not only the direct people that will benefit from the project, because many people could benefit from a good project. and that one is our target. So let's think about how you will measure your success and how you will control your project, because it's always important to monitoring is very, very important, you know, because when you start a project, you really have to take care of the plan of your project, and you need to be careful with monitoring, because everything has to be as you are writing on your project. So you need really to follow that way and to be strict on this. So let's think about the expected results. So when you are you know, writing down a project, you really have to think about the results at the end of the project. So if we are thinking about the inclusion of children with Duchenne muscular dystrophy at school, this is an example, of course, at the end of the project, the results has to be the children are more included, because maybe before there was a problem, and now with this project we are solving this project, so this problem. So we really have to think about the results. So please take care of deadlines and time frame. This is also part of the monitoring, because you really have to be strict on these too, and think about time. Time runs, so you really need to do all the activities that are part of your project. So you really need to take care of deadlines, time, and please select the activities for each month. Try to build your project thinking about 1 year or 2 years, and put all the activities that you are going to do during this year every month. So this will be very helpful and is necessary for your project. So the other point, of course, is budget. So let's think about the amount that you are requesting for your project. If you need the help of, for example, a company to cover completely your budget, because you need all that resources, or if you can participate with a part of your resources, and if you need just another part of resources from a company or foundation, or you know, the structure, the company that you are contacting for your budget, for your project proposal. And think about the risks. So normally when you write a project, be realistic and put there all the things that you can do, and trying to think about what could happen, and to think about a solution, because this is also important to realize your project. And involve your team, of course. So within your project, you have to have clear the number of people that will be involved. Every person has to be involved in a specific action. So it's very, very important to select the activities and to give to everyone a specific task to run. And think about communication and report. So you need to write a communication plan for your project. So you need to communicate your project at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of your project, because it's important also to share at the end of your project the results and the report of the project. So this is mainly the point that we wanted to share with you about fundraising, but I'm really happy if you have questions, suggestions, or whatever you want to share with us, and we are here to hear you. So please write down every question, and You know, you can contact me, you can contact us for every time if you need some information about fundraising or whatever, or a specific suggestion. We are always here, so it's your time now.
Okay, thank you, Nicoletta, very much for your wonderful explanation about fundraising. As Nicoletta already explained, if you have your GoToMeeting control panel on the right, you see a chapter called Chat. So you can always type your message right there. And in the meantime, I do have some questions for you, Nicoletta, because you talked about that videos are really powerful tool to engage people in your fundraising event. But which materials do you use in order to make a very well video?
Yes, in terms of video, you can you can select two options, because during an event, or normally it's useful to if you want to create a video with pictures of your community, this could be helpful to show what you are doing. Or if you have the opportunity to to have a professional video made by a video maker, telling your story, your mission, what you do normally, this is very, very useful, because you can have a specific video about your organization that you can share also on TV. So if you have the opportunity to contact a video maker, this is really a good option. And another important kind of video that is really useful to tell your story and that you can use is also a video about with interview. So you can interview someone of your community, trying to explain, for example, in the rare disease area, the story of a family is very useful, because this is a nice and simple way to explain what you do, what's the goal of your organization, because you want to help children with that specific disease, and this is the story of that children. So it's normally useful to have to collect this kind of stories and experiences that you can share. So different kind of videos, it depends on you, your creativity and your organization, but every kind of materials is very useful in this sense.
Okay, thank you very much. Then I see another question that was considering money from companies, because when you organize an event and a company gives you a lot of money, is there a specific reason that you have to be suspicious, or are there certain goals you have to reach, or how does that exactly work?
Well, one event can be, of course, can have the support of a specific company, and in this sense, you can, you can speak with the company, and it depends on the situation. But normally, it's useful and it's nice if you can include this kind of support on your communication, because if you are organizing an event and one company says, okay, I will give you something for free, and I will help you, it's nice to have this kind of partnership. So do not be suspicious, but if you see that you have the feeling when something is is not so clear, you have this feeling and you can manage the situation. But normally, for our no-profit organization, we find companies or other realities that are really happy to support our activities in order to support our projects. So try to create as many clear and powerful partnership that you can as you can.
Okay, thanks. I have another question that I received. That is, what is the most underestimated part about organizing a fundraiser?
The underestimated part?
Underestimated part. So what is the the area that is most overlooked by people, or people think that it was way too easy or it was actually pretty hard?
About fundraising in general?
Yes.
Well, normally when I speak with different organizations, well, it depends on the organization, but normally the first point is involve the community. How to involve the community, how to involve companies or the community where I live. So how to have many people there during my event or during my, whatever fundraising activity. So I think that is very, very important to, as we said, to have a specific plan. It depends on what we are going to do, if it is a campaign, event, or whatever, but try to have a clear plan of the activity that you want to do, and don't forget that people are there, and sometimes you just need to involve them in an easy and nice way, because we never think that our daily life is always and every day surrounded by many, many people that maybe are really happy to help us. So please think about your really close community, your network, your friends, your colleagues, and the people of your, church or community, or the school of your children. So let's think about the community, work on this, involve them, try to use the creativity and a good plan. And I am really sure that you will start having your fundraising events or campaigns with a great success.
Okay, thank you. I'm already receiving some more questions in the chat, and one of them is from Spirinio. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but he asks, if a company suggests to offer 500 euros, can we negotiate for more?
Of course, yes. You always can negotiate. Well, it depends, because if you are submitting a project, you cannot negotiate, of course, because normally it depends on the country, but normally you send a proposal with a specific budget, and the company can give you a specific amount. But for example, if for your event you need to cover a specific cost, or you need to have something, some materials or whatever, of course my suggestion is to explain very well to the company what is your goal, what you have to do, and try to work on the partnership, because of course the company who is supporting you is not supporting your event, is supporting a community, is supporting an important action for the world. So what is very important is to to let them understand this point, and this is helpful for them to also to understand the amount that they have to donate. So try to be very clear about your goal, about your activity, and this will help you in receiving the amount that you need, because if the company can understand how you will spend your money, what you are going to do, and have this clear plan, this will help you in having also the amount that you need. And if you don't have that amount, you can involve another company and to enrich it.
Okay, thank you. And when you're talking about reaching for companies, do you have a specific moment in the year that you are approaching pharma companies or other events for money, or what is the right moment of the year to ask for donations?
Well, this is another nice question, because it depends. Normally, consider that there is a budget that is that the companies define in a specific time of the year. So please take care of this, because if you ask for a donation in December for the year that is going to an end, it's complicated for a company to support you. Normally, this is generic, but could happen. You know, it's you know, you always have to think about many aspects globally. But my suggestion is that if you normally ask at the end of the year, this has to be more close to the end of the year. This has to be to the other year. So consider this part, the financial budget of the company when you approach a company. But you can speak with them and see what is, of course, the best moment. Normally, consider this part of the financial budget of the company, but also consider that you can always contact a company trying to have support. It depends, of course, on the budget that you are asking to. This is another important point, because if you are just asking for a small budget, maybe one company can support you even if the year is going to an end, and but if you are asking for a really big amount, please take care of the time. This is the same when you want to involve a company for a specific campaign. For example, many organizations can involve companies for Christmas to have Christmas donation or Christmas gift. So please consider that companies define who they are going to support many months in advance. So try to, you know, to consider this when you are contacting some company organization, and this is very important. And consider too that there are specific calls from companies or foundation. So in this sense, please, you know, check the specific websites of your country where you can find the deadline to submit a project for a specific foundation or companies. Otherwise, you won't have the opportunity to participate. So time is important even in this case, and consider this.
Okay, thank you very much. Then I have another question from Dagmar, and she asks, what is a good crowdfunding page and works globally? Do you have experience in that?
Well, I have mostly experience in crowdfunding at a national level, not at a global level. So in this sense, I think that crowdfunding is a good way, of course, to raise funds, and normally it works for specific events or initiative. Normally, when you participate to a competition, a sport events, the crowdfunding is great. My suggestion is to start with the national crowdfunding website pages, and to use that ones in order to check if your idea has a good number of followers, and then you can go globally. Now Facebook is helping a lot at an international level too, because as maybe many of you already know, that you can support a specific organization using Facebook. And my opinion is that for different organizations, is a really good way to raise funds also online using the Facebook pages. So it's a good suggestion. I will check for international crowdfunding pages in order to give you, you know, more details about this.
Okay, thank you very much. I have another question. And he says, oh, it's more like a comment. Spiridon says, I created a folder named Fundraising, and I keep all printed fundraising letters during a year so I can return them a successful or not company organization during the following year. So it's a really good idea to already start building your own portfolio almost of donators who you can still go to next year. So thank you for the tip, really helpful. Nicoletta, do you have any more questions or suggestions or any information you want to tell us?
Well, no, I just would like to add that, as said, I think that for a good fundraising, it's very important to be creative and to, to involve people to explain very well what you are doing, because even if it could be, you always think that it's hard to raise funds, but it's not so difficult when you have your ideas very clear, and when you explain what you are doing, who you are, in a clear, simple way, and really try to involve everyone, starting from your community, because this is really a good way to support your organization and to have your plan and to realize your project. So creativity and empathy and community and a clear plan, I think that are the important words that I would like to share with you for your fundraising plan. And of course, we are always here to help in every way that we can. So please contact us. Don't worry. And it has been a pleasure.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for attending this webinar, Fundraising for Nonprofits. Nicoletta, thank you very much for participating.